right now, manager of the New York Yankees. Booney, how you doing, man? How's the offseason going?
I'm doing well. Good, good. A little chilly up here in the Northeast right now, but all good. Getting excited for the grind to start here not too long.
How do you think the offseason's going from a transactions perspective? I mean, obviously, I know there's other people making the final call there, but you're following it. You're in on conversations. Do you have a grade or thoughts on, if you guys feel like you've accomplished what you've wanted?
Yeah, I'm really excited about everything that we've added. Obviously, the big one and bringing Juan Soto in. Um, bringing Verdugo in, obviously just adding Stroman. I know we're still kicking the tires and seeing where we can improve a little bit more, but I'm excited about the depth that we're building, and I think hopefully in a year where we struggled a little bit offensively last year, a lot with guys being out of the lineup. Hopefully we've created more balance and uh, and I feel like some guys are in the midst of having really strong winners to put themselves in position to go out and do what they're capable of doing.
Good stuff. You brought up Soto. I want to talk lineups, man. I want to get right into it a little bit. Soto's good on base percentage machine. Judge usually a two hitter. Have you thought about it yet? Where you might put those two, because one hits better in one spot, one hits better in the other. Have you thought about lineups yet?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think about it all the time. Yeah, right now, you know, you probably Juan in the two hole and Judgy third, but we'll just see. We'll see how the leadoff spot shakes out. I really feel excited about the way DJ finished the season last year and the winner that he's had. He's in Tampa already getting rolling, so I'm hopeful that he gets back to being the player he was in the second half, where he's getting on base a ton and can solve that leadoff spot for us and then roll everyone from there. But obviously bringing Verdugo over is a huge deal. He could hit in that spot. You could move Glaber up there if you wanted to. So I do feel like we have a lot of really good options. We'll just see how everything shakes out with spring, and then obviously once you get into the season, depending on guys being nicked up or injuries you face, performance, all those things, can play a big role in that.
How do you evaluate that? How do you evaluate that as a manager who's had tons of success? You've brought in elite players now. How do you evaluate that in spring training? You're like, oh, well, see how it's going. Verdugo could be in there, because you're talking about guys getting on base and then guys driving them in. How are you evaluating that? It's not like you're going out of minor league camp and being like, wow, that guy's got a lot of power. Well, duh. You can watch Stanton's BP and be like, yeah, he's got a lot of juice. Yeah, Verdugo looks kind of weird with his beard shaved. Like, these are things that you can see. How are you evaluating it as a manager?
Well, I think first and foremost, you start with the kind of pillars. Like, I see Aaron and Soto hitting back to back. Whether one's two, the other's three, the other's two. I'm not quite sure yet how it shakes out. It may depend on who actually is hitting in that leadoff spot, who is hitting in the four hole and beyond. So I think one of the exciting things about the potential of our lineup this year, I think, is the balance. We're going to have, upwards of 4 or 5 lefties in the lineup, so you can really kind of alternate things, and that's not even talking about when Jasson Dominguez, hopefully gets back for us at some point in the summer. So I'm excited about the balance that we have, and then it's just seeing, like, I think Big G's had a great winter. Like, how's Big G doing? Where's he at coming into spring and into the regular season? Like I talked about with DJ, do you have a situation where versus a left-handed starter or versus a right-handed starter, you have a different leadoff hitter? We'll see. We'll see how that kind of shakes out and how it becomes fluid. But, I think you start with the idea that, hopefully Judge and Soto are hitting back-to-back over 150 times this year.
Wouldn't that be nice to have Dominguez maybe a leadoff hitter once he comes back healthy? I mean, there's a lot of options you can go with all these guys. Volpe, him. My next question would be with Carlos Rodon. I think he's the guy that needs to get going this year. He's the guy that's going to, pretty much kickstart that, whatever he's a 3, 4, or 5 pitcher, I don't know. But if he gets going, I feel this Yankee team will be as dominant as they always have been. What have you heard about him? How's he doing? And how do you think he's going to come up this year with hopefully a big year?
Yeah, I mean, look, he certainly had his struggles last year, and a lot of it was due to just starting with injuries. And he had an injury that started him, and he had a setback when he was coming back. So he was just playing catch up all year and couldn't really get in that good groove or that good rhythm. The biggest thing that I've probably told him going into the offseason is it didn't go away. The good thing for you is you are super talented, and it's just about being healthy for him. And again, I talk about guys having good winters. I really feel like Carlos is one of those guys that's had an outstanding winter. He's in great shape. He's throwing the ball well. Just delivery wise, he looks good already. He's in Tampa. He's been in Tampa for the last 2 weeks already. So kind of trying to just get a leg up and make sure he's in the best position to go out there and be successful. And the biggest thing I want him to focus on is going to the post. Whether that means 170, 180 and upwards innings, whatever that is, like focus on going out there and being able to post and doing what you need to do from a physical standpoint to be able to post. And I truly believe if that's the case, if he's handling that, the results will follow over time because, his stuff is simply too good and he's too talented as long as he's taking care of all the other things that allow him to go out there every 5th or 6th day.
I don't want to give you my opinion, so I'm going to let you rank it first. I need a 1 to 10 on Cashman's rant that he had earlier this offseason.
Which one?
It was pretty effing good.
I'm kidding. We're talking the GM, right?
Whichever one you want to go after. The whole just Cashman's offseason minus Sans trades and signings.
You know what? I pulled out my bag of popcorn and just kicked my feet up and enjoyed him getting after it a little bit. He definitely let it eat there a little bit and created some noise. Look, we understand. Obviously, we're coming off a year that's just not acceptable by our terms and our standards, and we can talk all we want all winter about things we're going to do or why this happened or why that didn't happen. The bottom line is we got to go out and handle our business on the field, and I do feel like we're putting ourselves in position to do that. But again, we got to go out and prove it now, and I'm excited to have that opportunity.
I was going to give him a 10 because
10.
A 10 because the fact that if you come out and do it, then it looks like you're sitting there trying to I got to protect my players. I got to save my job, all this stuff. He comes out and does it. And it's like, oh yeah, you know what? This is what we do. And you know what? He's built up enough cachet in my mind to say all the stuff that he says. And at the end of the day, he wasn't lying. All the stuff he said, he wasn't lying. And to me, that's all you need is honesty, right?
Yeah. And, a lot of times you get, I feel like he probably got criticized a little bit for going that way. But, you also get criticized sometimes for being too generic and just, saying what, want to be here. So it's like you can't really win when you're coming off a season that we just had. So, look, talk is cheap in the end. I enjoyed it. I think it exercised some demons for him. And the bottom line is we got to go out and do it on the field. And that's what we're focused on.
Let me ask you this. This is a question for you. I know winning is probably top priority for you, but what is the best part of the job for you besides winning? And what would you say is the worst part of your job? I know there's a lot that goes into this. People talk to Eric and I like, oh, why don't you guys try to go coach? And I said, hell no, I'm not trying to get in that business right now. It's tough. There's got to be good and bad about everything. So what would be the best part about the job, and what's the worst if you could think of one?
Aside from winning, I would say the competition, the 7 o'clock. You prepare, you get ready to go. And even though you're not playing anymore, you're obviously totally invested. And, for me, I'm on my feet the entire game and locked in. And that competition at the highest level in the world. You know, you guys obviously know what it is to play in the highest league in the land, and you know, with a lot on the line. And I think that's what you kind of live for and love. You know, I love, you know, no matter what goes on in the season, good, bad, and different. You know, I think one of the things that I take pride in is hearing people talk about our players that we come in contact with. You know, there's a lot of people that, you know, whether it's you roll into a town and it's hotel staff, opposing visiting team staff, airplanes, you know, flight attendants, pilots, those kind of things. All the people that we come in contact with, anytime you hear them, which I hear a lot, frankly, about how our players conduct themselves and treat people, that matters big time to me, and is something that I've always been proud of with this group, year in and year out. But the competition is awesome. As far as the crappy part, you know, I think the things that aren't baseball related that, you know, come across your desk that are hard to deal with, and how do you deal with them? You know, you don't prepare for a pandemic. You know, like you know, how do you respond to that? What do you do? How do you lead through something like that? You know, social issues that pop up sometimes. You know, how do you navigate those kind of things? Things that come up with players that have nothing to do with baseball. You know, that maybe a personal issue they're dealing with that can leak in and become an issue. You know, those are the things that are hard to prepare for sometimes, and you know, as one of the leaders, you gotta be able to handle those things and try and grow your group from all the things that you don't account for that maybe have nothing to do with baseball.
I thought one of your answers were going to be analytics, but I want to get into that part a little. I do want to get into that part a little bit. One, are you an analytical guy? And then you heard from Judge and a couple other guys that, like, man, we're maybe a little too analytical right here. The paperwork, all that stuff, trying to figure out, oh, these percentages, that percentages. Is it a little too much in your opinion too as well?
Well, I mean, I think the secret sauce in this job is striking that balance. And you know, there's a lot of players that can handle a lot of different things, and you know, information has allowed them to become and reach their potential as players, and can kind of eat it up and use it. There's other players that you kind of try and get out of their way, and it can hold them back and bog them down. The secret sauce is in striking that balance. You know, there's so much good information, and the bottom line is, if you're not on the cutting edge of a lot of it, you fall behind in this game. But it is being able to strike that balance and understanding, you know, who can absorb the most information, and again, who do you get the heck out of the way of?
So where does Marcus Stroman fall on that spectrum of the level? He's gonna bring more swag than the Yanks have had in a minute. A little more dancing, a little more. You know, he's gonna have to wear like a super high turtleneck and sleeves for the team picture, because there's no tattoos in the Yankees team pictures. How do you assimilate a guy like that into your system? Because I know the guy personally, and I know he wants to win. So that's probably the reason he's coming to New York.
Yeah, look, the one thing I had the chance to spend a little bit of time with him before we signed. I spent some time with him over at his house in Tampa, and got to know him a little bit and talk to him and try to get out in front of some things that, you know, not every organization has to deal with. The bottom line is, I'm excited to have him because, like you said, this guy is an elite competitor. That my sense in talking to him, that this is the place that he wants to be, and I know I'm very confident that he's going to make us a lot better. I think he's going to thrive in this situation with the pinstripes on. I know he's looking forward to it. And I told him, you know, every now and then I'm going to have to get on you probably if I got to make you shave or, you know, do something that, you know, cutting into things a little bit. It's going to annoy you from time to time, but we'll handle it the best we can as it comes up. But I'm excited to have
what was
part
his
of it.
response to that?
Oh yeah, all good, all good. I said, the biggest thing you'll be upset about me is if I have to come get the ball from you when you at some point, or if I got to come up and make you shave on a day, you're getting a little extra chin music going on there. But I'm not too worried about it. I think he's going to fit in really well with our group, and the guy can really pitch and is an elite competitor, and I can't wait to see him do his thing in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, me too. I think, I played with him and with the Mets. He loved it there, and that's his backyard pretty much. I want to skip over to the outfield a little bit. You just picked up Verdugo. You'll have Soto, you'll have Judge, Stanton, and then Dominguez when he comes back. How's that outfield carousel going to play out? And if everybody's healthy, how much time does Judge get in center field?
Yeah, I'm planning on playing Judgy in center a lot. He's preparing for it now. The one thing is when I play him in center, I tend to use the DH with him a little bit more often. So, if he's playing most days in center field, especially with Trent Grisham on the roster now, who's an elite defender out there and more of that balance, he'll obviously get some reps out there. I can use the DH there for Judge sometimes. I've even talked to Judgy about playing a little bit of left field on a certain day when I want to get Grisham and him in the outfield, which he's open to. I'll probably have Verdugo in left field and Juan in right, and then I really feel like Giancarlo would be able to give us an occasional look in the outfield as well. He's preparing for that. So I love our depth. I do feel like we're in a better position to absorb an injury that may come up or whatever. So hopefully that's the case. And then obviously we get Jasson Dominguez in the mix at some point in the summer. Oswaldo Cabrera is another guy that's gained a lot of outfield experience. So I do feel like we have a lot of depth right now that hopefully serves us well over the course of the 162.
Talking about Judgy in center field, you say a lot. Are we talking like 120? Are we talking 160 if he's healthy? Because Locaine, when was talked about that Judgy's going to be the center fielder, Locaine was talking about how there is way more running. Not to discount the fact that Judgy's an elite Gold Glove right fielder, but there's a lot more running in center field, and for that big a body. Are you concerned, and do you go into it with okay, we'll take him out in the 7th and move him to right, or are we going to only play 120 out there for Judgy?
I'm not concerned about it, and I mean, Judgy had probably his most healthy season in 2022 when he was out there in center field. Most of the injuries he's gotten have been in right field, so I know he's not worried about it all. I'm not. The one thing is with the little bit more running that you have, it makes me more inclined to use the DH with him, probably a little more periodically. So whether that's once a week, whether that's twice a week, depending on, again, it depends on how healthy we are at different points of the season. But I'm comfortable with him being out there. I'm not putting him on running back. I'm just moving him over to the center of the diamond. But the one thing is, it makes me a little more inclined to use the DH with him to pick those days where I can, get him off his feet because he is running around the outfield.
You can hear that you're thinking about this lineup a lot. I like that. But you do have a running back, and your running back is, I don't know his timetable. I want to know when Dominguez is going to be healthy. What's the latest that you've heard? And not that I'm just asking the same question again. Does he slot into center field when he comes back?
Yeah, we'll see. Look, it'll be sometime in the summer. The rehab is going, I think, as well as you could hope. How it's supposed to go. He's doing great. He's down in Tampa now too, and so we'll just see. Won't be some. Obviously, we won't rush him or anything. It's going to be when he's fully ready to come back and play defense. He'll be back and hopefully contribute. And you got to see what who knows what we look like in June or July, and what our roster, if we have an injury here. So all we know is we think he's got a really, really bright future. Obviously, he had a great debut for us last year in the week when he did get called up, and we're excited about his future. But first and foremost, got to get him healthy, and I will say he's on the track of doing that, and hopefully join us sometime in the summer.
Did you see enough of Dominguez? Or, I mean, people are wondering, you expect him in AAA, or did you see enough of him to be a big leaguer all the way through?
Yeah, again, I mean, just because we have so much depth now, where are you in June, with that depth? How's that shaking out? I am totally confident that he's going to be a really, really good player in this league for a long time. When that time, he kickstarted last year when he got called up in September there and had quite a debut for a week. I think it's a little peak of the kind of career he might have. But we'll just see. We'll see where we're at when he is ready to come back and what our needs are at that point.
Another thing, Hal came and talked to you about bunting more. I think that's impressive. I think, the smile on. Listen, I'm all for it with the right people at the right time. I don't expect Judge to, run around first and second. He's going to lay down and bunt to get the guys over. But have you talked more into that?
What Hal said was that I had talked about more bunting, which is the biggest thing. So it is a little bit out of context, but the biggest thing is, especially now with the extra inning rules, like, there's a lot more situations that come up. Like, if you're the home team and let's say you held that opponent from scoring in the 10th inning, and now you got that man on second, like, to me, that opens up a lot more players that I would be inclined to be able to bunt in that situation, especially if they're capable of it, which I think, we should be able to do, whether it's coming through the minor leagues or, hopefully you have that as part of your skill set. So I don't anticipate us bunting anymore. Hopefully we have a handful of guys that it's in the tool belt, that if, leading off an inning or you need a base runner, to be able to have that, I think serves players well. And I think opens a lot of things up, but I don't see us doing a whole lot of bunting. I just want it to be in our tool belt when we need it.
Good. There's some happy Yankee players right now that are probably either catching this live or going to catch it afterward and be like, I'm a masher, so I'm going to go up there and freaking mash for Boone. That's what this lineup looks like. I want to ask you about now your former bench coach, but happy tears, bittersweet. Carlos Mendoza was on with us, I think, the day after it was announced officially, and he personally thanked you, obviously, for many things, but also for giving him more of an opportunity to manage in games than most would, based on some ejections here and there. It was a great freaking line, showed us some of what the personality is because we don't know him that well. So can you give us your scouting report on what he's like? And then there were a few fan questions asking what it's like to transition to a new bench coach, because now you've got Brad Ausmus when you had Mendoza for such a long time, and he was super valuable, right?
Yeah. Mendy is, we ended up becoming amazing friends and someone that I will totally miss. I talked to him last night. We still talk and check in all the time with each other. I'm so excited for him. Certainly that there was a little shock and I was preparing myself the month leading up because I felt like he was going to get one of these jobs. Is like, he does so many things. He's got so much talent as a coach, as a physical coach, whether it's infield, throwing BP, a great mind. He understands analytics, but there's an old school toughness to him. Like, he checks so many boxes. He's such a great person, such a passion for the game. He and I knew each other so well, could kind of complete each other's sentences. So I am certainly going to miss him. We are going to miss him, but we're excited for his opportunity. And I'm also excited, though, for the transition. And one of the things when we went into the hiring mode of obviously looking for his replacement is the one thing I didn't want to do is just go and try and find a Mendy clone, because I know I'd be disappointed in that regard, and look for a guy that checks all the boxes, because Mendy checks so many boxes because he can do so many things as a coach, and his experience and his knowledge is so excellent. I wanted to just bring in the most impactful person, and whoever that was going to end up being, I didn't want him to necessarily. I'm looking for Mendy, and then Brad Ausmus, somebody that we played against each other a ton when he was in Houston and I was in Cincinnati. So we knew each other from across the field a lot, have had so many conversations over the years. I have so much respect for him as a player, obviously as a manager in the league for a couple teams, as a bench coach. And it's been fun to see him already dive in and really already start to have an impact on our coaching staff, in our organization. And I'm excited for what he's going to bring to the table. And I look forward to just finding our rhythm, first in spring training, but then obviously in the early game, because that's the one thing with Mendy and me is like, man, he knew exactly what I wanted. I could not even have to ask a question. He was ready with his answer, his thought, his opinion, and we really communicated, I think, really efficiently. But I'm really excited about Brad and what I know he's going to bring to the table too.
You talking about Brad got my crazy mind off my question. Is he going to run? Is he going to run spring training? Because Mendy ran spring training. Like I feel like Brad might be a little bit too highfalutin for that.
So that's one of the other thing Mendy did. Mendy handled spring training and all the admin and stuff. So we've been doing a lot of. So Brad will be very, very much involved, and kind of, and already has been very much involved in inputting into the spring training. Tanner Swanson will handle a lot of the administrative stuff, and being kind of the field coordinator, if you will, for our team. But we'll have a lot of people pouring into and contributing to running spring training now, with Brad being one of those guys.
Oh, spring training is gonna be a mess if Tanner's running it, and you make sure he knows that I said that too. You guys are gonna be everywhere.
We're tracking the whip. He's all over it.
No.
We're gonna hit the ground running.
He's not. He's kind of pissy in the morning, so he's not gonna. Anyway, my question goes to, you said it a couple times. Like, he looks great this winter. Do you feel like sometimes in the winter, guys like go into this like body contest and maybe like, I'm speaking specifically about G and the pictures that you see, he's like jacked, he's ripped. Is that what's going to make him healthy? Is a less body weight going to make him healthy? Is that going to keep him on the field? Because I think he could weigh 180 pounds and he would still hit dingers everywhere. But there's different opinions out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things we've identified, and G has as well, is he's got to play lighter. And even he's, like you said, he's always jacked and he's never out of shape. But I think he's at a point in his career, just from an age and some of the injuries that he's had, that he understands that playing a little bit lighter is important. And I think that's been one of his focal points this offseason is to be able to play lighter. I know he's in a good spot in that regard. Look, I think, obviously we're at the time of the year here, and in the next 4 weeks, we're going to get to camp and we're going to get everyone's in the best shape of their life. And you get that throughout camps across Major League Baseball. I do feel like, for us, for a few of, especially guys that are coming off of tough years or tough physical years, I think sometimes it can be added motivation for guys, especially guys that are, north of 30 years old, that went through a season where they were banged up or, didn't get the most out of maybe their body. So it forces you to ask some tough questions. But I feel really good about, like where Nestor's at physically, where Carlos Rodon's at physically, where I think G is at right now physically. DJ, the challenges he's had the last couple of years with the toe and the foot, he's in a really good spot. And so I'm excited about some of the guys that I feel like it's critical and important that they've had good off seasons from a physical standpoint. I feel like so far that first part, those boxes have been checked.
So, Booney, last one here. A lot of fans asking about certain free agents like Blake Snell, and I'll let you answer what we all know in the baseball world. Number one, you can't specifically address all that stuff in general. There's rules in baseball about it. Number two, you are not the general manager of the team. But I'll let you answer that. The second part of that, though, is you can talk about teams and what their strategies are and all that in the offseason, just like you gave us your evaluation of the Yanks at the beginning of this conversation. So I wanted to take you to your division. What have you thought about the rest of the division so far this offseason? For example, the Red Sox said they're going full throttle. They have now backtracked on that. They have not been as good. Like the Yanks-Red Sox rivalry is not as sexy right now because they're a last-place team. And so I'm wondering, with what you've seen from Boston, do you think that the Yankees rivalry right now is more with like the Rays and the Jays and some of the juice you guys have had?
I kind of feel like there's a rivalry with all of them, frankly. And the Red Sox one is always, I've been a part of it now for long enough as a player and as a manager where, it's always bubbling under the surface, and it can explode at any time. So it's, playing in the American League East, you got to pack a lunch. It's tough. It's great baseball. Especially now with what the Orioles have turned into now, you walk into a series and there's no givens. And I expect that to be the same. I think, a lot of teams maybe in the East so far have had kind of quiet winners to a degree, but as we've seen a lot, it's not about the perception of we won the off season or, there's a lot of time for things to play out. And, I know that regardless of what happens between now and spring, the competition with our division opponents will be challenging as always.
Booney, we're going to let you go. But first, I got to say, what I think of you as a person. I really respect you as a person, and you coming on here helps fans really connect with, fan base really connect with your team and you as a manager. So I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. But we got to hit one personal note here. Where in the Boone Olympics does Nick Allen now slide in that he's in on the family? I mean, he's joining a intimidating family. Where does he slide in, and do you give him a hard time? Do you and the guys in the family give him a hard time?
You know what? We love Nick. I mean, he's been welcomed with open arms, man. And you know what's endeared him to my immediate family here is, the last two off seasons before they got married, Nick and Savannah have come out and actually spent a few days with us, stayed at our house here in Connecticut, all the way from California in the winter, trying to ingratiate themselves in the family. And I respect and appreciate that. But Nick's off to a great start.
Oh man, he sounds like a brown noser. He sounds like he's trying to keep a job in the big leagues. What's up with that? Like,
Boney, I said this. I said if they give him a chance, give him a couple years straight, he's going to get a Gold Glove. He's got some of the best hands I've ever seen.
He can really pick it.
Hoo-wee.
But my shortstop can pick it a little bit too.
Oh,
hell yeah!
Stop
on that
you can always use depth.
Oh, I love it.
Nah, he's got to do his few years.
Volpe's got the Gold Glove.
He did actually get it. Yeah, he actually got it.
So, but Nick can pick
first,
it.
Boney. Family first. You know that.
Yeah, we had, obviously for context, we had Nick on. We've had like a few hundred player guest spots, but we had Nick on a few weeks ago, so it took up a good chunk of the conversation. Yeah, it was good because we haven't heard much from him yet. You're in Oakland, you're not going to get the same attention. There's all that crap going on, but he's one of the bright stars there, so it's cool.
The one thing I'm going to tell him though is, him and Savannah have been posting a lot about the wedding, and it's like the wedding's a couple months old now. It's like, now it's like, you give me an anniversary post, fine, but let's not relive it. It's now it's in the trenches grinding out that marriage now. Let's go.
That's Savannah. That's Savannah doing that to him now. That's the wife. Put another pick up for me, honey. Come on.
Yeah, honeymoon phase is over.
Wedding, honeymoon, it's over.
Booney,
Out here in the trenches.
that's trash that you didn't watch the episode with Nick on here. Like, I mean, I know you're a huge FT fan. I know you were on vacation, but you're a huge FT fan, maybe one of our biggest, but you need to be watching.
I will go back and watch it.
Thank you.
Now that I've heard that, I'm really excited about it. So
perfect.
All right.
Great to see you, dude. Appreciate you. Bye.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Boone, manager of the New York Yankees, with us on FT Live. Good one.
Yeah, he's
got
solid.
to the good stuff there. That was great.
He gives real answers too, man. Like, I know I sound like I'm gushing nerd and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but
you're
like,
looking for a coaching job. I got it.
He gives real answers.